Then here's an example of a simple email attachment that I did with potential distributors. Like if you can see here, our goal is to be your preferred choice of supplier. We believe, the cost is measured by value and not price. Our focus is to make sure the product moves from your customer and that they're happy with their buying decision. Here are the few things that we do as a part of our commitment. When I write this, these are my brands. Like when I write this kind of message, I think it's very hard for distributor to tell no to a supplier like this who's really just going to make their life easy, who's going to generate business for them. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. Hey guys, very excited to do the second episode on how to grow your distribution, how to get new distributors. This podcast is sponsored by BTN's featured brand Contepil. This is an amazing Ukrainian drink. It was looking for a spirits importer in the US. A Ukrainian brand producing Contepil, which is made from blackcurrant buds, a drink with a history revived by the Palek brothers. Contepil captures the essence of Ukraine heritage in every sip, a new and unique drink that will surely captivate the American consumer. And this is a brand which we really recommend. We are working with this brand very closely. So if you are a potential importer, I think you're also going to get our support overall through all our assets and everything. We're going to push this brand to get some traction in the US. Bartender, this is an amazing brand. So if you have a distributor that is you like working with, spread the word out because they are looking for distributors and importers. The featured link, the more information about this brand is in the comment section, in the body, in the video here. So do check it out. Click on their featured page. You will see all the information out there. And over there, fill out the samples and inquiry form if you are a spirits importer of the US, and they will reach out to you. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for attending this second part of how to grow distribution and find distributors in the webinar series that I'm doing right now. The first webinar, laying the foundation, if some of you attended, the video is already out, and feel free to check out the first session. And that this is a continuation of that first episode that we did. The first one was about laying the foundation. This one is really going at the next level, which is outreaching the distributors through the digital mediums. Alrighty. So just one quick little background about me. I have operated wholesale business. I've owned my own private label brands. I currently also have a gin brand, made in UK, sold in UK. So I really understand, where you're coming from. I really, I'm facing the same problem, right? Like the landscape of distribution has changed. We all have to do our own sales more. So I really understand where this is going. And at the same time, I do understand that if someone is growing, then we should, there is no excuse to it, right? If a brand is growing or if someone is getting distribution. So there must be a science, or there must be a way still, you can make a success out of it, right? We just have to figure out the new ways, the new mediums to sort of attract and get in front of distributors. Topic here is really focused on outreach and truly broken down into three main subtopics. The first one is going to be leveraging the market trends to attract distributors, right? What this means is, do you have a tailwind instead of a headwind, right? Are you sort of aligned with your category or the market? Is your price aligned with the next trend of 2025, let's say, where we're going, right? So we really want to make sure that you have some really macroeconomics supporting you. Otherwise, it's going to be even tougher. And at the same time, let's say if you were selling a category or a product that is really having a hard time, then you need to find distributors that are really still selling that. Like if it's an Australian wine, an Australian importer is selling, then you both are in the same boat. So that's still okay, right? You can work with them and figure it out and sort of go through that tough times and bounce back if it's Australian wine, for example. The second part is going to be navigating distribution channels. So there are many different ways today that you can really, which you should, really go to the route to the market. Basically, there is self-distribution, there is D2C. We'll be talking about different things here. The third one is the main one, which I want to really focus on, which is the digital marketing tactics to use and generate your business for new distributors. How do you do lead gen? How do you get in front of the distributors using pretty much digital mediums? So that's where I will spend most of the time today. Let's go to the first one, right? The market trends. I'll just share some market trends shared by our partner Nielsen for 2024 as a snapshot, because we're pretty much just done with 2024 and moving to 2025. So most of the things that I will show you are going to continue, and I'll just read out some hot words there so you can see, like the hard seltzer, the spirits, the RTDs, the non-alcohol category, right? So those are the things that we definitely see continuing for 2025. And this is where I think the main slide you have to pay attention to. So try to really position your product, or if you already are doing it, like double down your marketing to promote this kind of words, right? The health and wellness, the flavor expansion, the natural ingredients, the digital engagement, so influence of AI. So all that thing, these are the questions that will drive the beverage alcohol in 2025. And you just have to figure out how you as a brand are playing in this space. Let's go on other top growth sort of category identified by Nielsen. Here are, like you can see here, 74% growth in, this kind of products which are free from artificial colors. Stated means they are promoting that, right? So where it's clearly stated that these are the products like this, low calorie, 30% up, eco-friendly, 28% up. So these are some important statistics, right? Like even if you're eco-friendly, let's say wine, you've never promoted it in that way, you can start playing with those titles, like eco-friendly certified wine, now looking for distributors, right? So those are some of the things that you can sort of start playing with. Social responsibility, no added sugar, B Corp. So these are the things that you really have to use in digital mediums. To any potential buyer, you got to prove a case that you have a macro demand. Your category is growing, you sort of are going to support that, and that way the consumer is also sort of buying that category, right? So you got to show in some way that there is some traction behind your category. Show success stories. So if, let's say, if point one is hard, and obviously not everyone can fall into that category, which I do understand, so then you can go to show some success stories, right? Even if your category is not growing, how about you showing that you are growing? So that's where you can focus on more. Show case studies, show success stories in your current markets, show previous years, like last 3 years of record showing growth. So you got to really show, at least in the markets that you've grown or in the states that you've grown, use that as a real examples that you've grown and show them how you've grown. Show them that organic success. Show them what you will do in 2025 as well, right? So this is something which you have to really address, like how are you going to generate demand for your brand, right? Those kind of things. So let's go on the second. I just wanted to keep the first one very small because that's very self-explanatory. As I said, I'll be focusing more on the real tactics later on. The second part is, I'm sure most of you also know, is different kinds of distribution channel the US market has to offer. For people who are not familiar with the US market, I'm still just going to go by the one-on-one slide here, which is the three-tier system, where there is a producer, there is a distributor, state distributor, and then there's a retailer and the consumer, right? So this is a traditional distribution channel that we're talking about as option one, where you find an importer if you are an overseas brand, or if you're a winery in California, let's say, or a distillery in US, you find a state distributor if you want to expand beyond your state, let's say. And then they will be the ones selling to the retailer, right? So this is a very traditional model that we all know. The answer here is yes, it is becoming tough. There are less and less wholesalers out there, which are especially matching with the craft brands. Like there are the big boys and girls, and then there are very small, medium and small players left out there, and not many, to be honest. Maybe 400 to 500 would be an active, I would call, left in the US market, right? So I think they do have a lot of options these days, and that is the reason you're seeing most of the brands really have to work a lot themselves to generate that demand and to give them that business. My answer to that is it is what it is. I think that is the reality, and I've always advocated that add more margins, but adjust to the reality, which is it gives you enough money to put feet on the ground yourself. So try to structure that in a way where you can use the three-tier system, but you're not reliant on the three-tier system. So keep your margins that way. The other distribution channel is the self-distribution channel. So there are companies like Park Street, MHW, USA Wine West. So I'll explain you the model here, what and how that works, right? For people who are not familiar with self-distribution channel. When it comes to the US market, we really think that you got to find an importer. I'm really talking in the context of even a domestic supplier, a distillery or a winery or a brewery or an overseas producer, right? one of the biggest thing, even if you want to find a state distributor, is first they're going to ask, do you have an importer, where I can pick up the goods from or I can buy from? So you will need to sort of, my advice is really figure out a way to find some company where you can just ship a pallet and start with this, right? There are many companies now which can take care of your compliance, warehousing, TTB, do this kind of service where you tell them that, okay, 1 year I'm just going to play the US market, get it warm, close some of the state distributors. So in that time is where you taste the market, I call it, right? So you yourself close a couple of distributors, you yourself close like 4 or 5 good retail accounts, or maybe one regional chain. You try to close it yourself, and then you keep that margins, and then you use this service model, which will help you with the compliance and clearing your products. Parallel, it's not like you're doing this and you're not finding an importer. Parallel, keep an activity on where your focus is still to find a distributor, because you can't sustain this model till you reach, especially in the context of small brands. I'm sure they cannot again and again travel to the markets and knock doors and build, themselves this kind of thing. So you eventually you want to hand it out to a traditional distributor or an importer, right? So you on the parallel, what you have to do is what I suggest is continue finding the person and tell them what you're doing. And then the moment they come on board, you hand over the business. So that is a great way to sort of enter into the market. It does two things here. One is it eliminates excuses. I would call it that way, where that you are not able to enter the US market. There is a way, this is a channel, this is a reality, right? Which is go sell yourself, in whichever way. There are solutions out there which allows you to do that. So definitely start that way and keep on looking to find a traditional importer or distributor. Let's go on the other kind of channels. Now, in this also, there are two options, folks. So one is where you focus on state distributors. You don't get in the retail, because it's a messy game, obviously, if you are really going and knocking doors at bars, restaurants, and the bottle shop, because you are also responsible for collection, invoices, performance, sell-throughs, and whatnot, right? Merchandising to everything. So I think there are two ways, again, you can look at this. There are companies that provide even wholesale licenses in some states, which you can use. So that allows you to operate like a class example here is Park Street and MHW, which I would name would be the two that's the biggest for this kind of services. So they also have a wholesale license in some of the states like Illinois, New York, California, right, Florida, where what it means is you can also sell to the retail. So this allows you to open doors at the retail and manage your entire business in those 4 or 5 states where they also have a wholesale license. So technically, you are on you're on in US market. You can open the states. The moment you sort of find a traditional distributor, you can hand over that. There are different elements again in this. Everything can be outsourced, and this is how I built my brand. Like I almost built it to 100,000 cases, if not more. I think almost 120,000 cases between 10 my private label brands, and this is exactly the model I personally use. So we're talking about decent enough of business, like 3.2 million sort of business, completely using third-party things, third-party compliance provider, third-party logistics, third-party warehousing, third-party back office, everything. And the company, which is my company, main thing was we were focused on direct customer relations and sales and business development things, and obviously procurement, the supply side. So everything can be outsourced, and there are models which allows you to start on a performance basis, right? So these are some big companies, but then there are so many small companies which they're fine with like $10 a case service fee or $15 a case service fee. So you just add it in the margin. You know that if you're going to sell, this is a cost. That's it, right? So there is no such heavy sort of cost structure to get started as well, to be honest, in the US market. And I'm more than happy to send you some names, like 3 or 4 names, which are really small. If you're just looking to start with a couple of pallets and maybe not spend more than $500 a month, to get started. So there are some companies more than happy to make some introductions. And this would be a great fit for a very small brand looking to start. If you are a sort of if this is a long-term approach where you want to control your sort of sales till next 5 years, then you can use MHW or Park Street, because ultimately, they do charge, I think, 2,000 to 5,000 a month. Sort of some economies of scale will have to come in play with a big service national provider. Direct to retail is also an option. There are companies like LibDib. The full form is Liberal Distribution. So, some of you may know that RNDC has, it's part of RNDC in one way. So RNDC is one of the biggest wholesaler networks out there. So they also have a system or a way where brands, like third-party brands, can get listed under that network, and you can start knocking doors in all that retail accounts yourself and use that, their compliance system to sort of deliver and collect money and deliver goods and so on. This allows you to sort of knock doors in many states, almost, I think, 24 states or something like that. Direct to consumer, some companies I'll throw as well here, Speakeasy, then, we know many companies, retailers have sort of a consignment model, almost like an Amazon merchant model, where you sort of use it, but then when the order comes, it goes through the legal system, and then it goes to the legal payment system and delivery system, and that way it's fulfilled, as per the three-tier laws. So even that is possible, right? So on your website as well, you can start with like buy, if you're a US consumer, you can use your social media to start the D2C channel. The D2C channel, in my experience, looks easy on the looks of it, but it is very hard. It's very, very hard to build consumer traction on a D2C brand. A lot of money easily will go in building and promoting your brand, like, Instagrams and the TikToks of the world. It's very, very hard. I've tried it. That's why I'm speaking from that. The traditional distribution is still a good route, I would advise, like the retail, the bars, the restaurants. Obviously, if you are promoting your own cellar door sales or tasting room sales, that's a different story. But I'm talking about purely e-commerce sort of, sales. Okay, now here's the main thing, which, this talk I want to spend more time on, which is what are some digital marketing things that you should be doing. This is something which we are currently doing as well, and I'll walk over some real case scenarios here. Let me read some of the things out here, and then these are the things that you should really be monetizing. Okay, so CRM. I think most of you may not even have a CRM, even if like you have a simple Excel sheet. That is still a CRM. What it means is proper customer relationship management sort of data and software, right? So you need to have, in my second point, I've written basic simple things like prospects, interested people, samples sent, contract phase, purchase order, not interested, follow up in 6 months, right? These are some basic fields that I personally had, and I still encourage brands to sort of have. So if I asked you at any point, if you asked your sales manager or an export manager, if you're the owner or yourself, you ask like, okay, how many distributors and importers are interested in our brand? Maybe 14. How many people we are at that phase where the samples have been shipped and we are waiting? Maybe 4, right? How many people we are in the contract phase where they loved and we're just doing the negotiation and we are at the final thing? Maybe 2. How many people are just going to send purchase order and we're about to start? 1. How many people are not interested? 6. How many people said follow up in 6 months, right? So these are just some numbers which you should have. So think of this as really a sales machine that you have to build. And even a blackboard. Now, you should put a blackboard, put this thing there on your main office room, have your salesperson send you update every day, end of the day or end of the week on this particular fields on what is the number, like how many prospects, how many are interested and whatnot, right? So depending on your ambition, so let's say if you just want to close 2 distributors this year, then maybe you just need like 40 prospects, right? So 40 to 45 qualified prospects. So that's how you need to really figure out your numbers for 2025 and then have a very strategical plan for this. I'll go on how to build prospects, right? How to build that first interested distributor that, yeah, I'm interested sort of thing digitally. Here are some things: social media DMs, email marketing, database, surveys, landing page, YouTube, articles, website contact form. You got to look at all the places that you are going to distribute the message that you are looking for a distributor or an importer. And then you're going to have an inbound landing page where they come and you generate a lead. So I'll show you, I did it and how we do it, and we still do it. Like we work with 20 brands. We hold their hands very closely. We work with 20 brands, in the Beverage trade network on a service called BTN distribution, which we don't advertise much, but in that we still get them 40 interested distributors in a year, right? So that is one great practical thing that I'll share with you, and some of the things that worked as well on my wines, and which I still do in my gin brand. Trade show competitions. So we'll go over some other things here. Samples approach first. One of the things that one of the distributors just told me is recently some of the one supplier just shipped a box to them, and in that was a letter and then the email, right? So all these things you can try, and you not try. I mean, you got to do strategically to get inbound leads generated. So let me show you some examples here. So if you see here, these are some of the brands that we have helped, right? Just an example to show you that how clearly I have written and made a landing page. So on your website, wherever it is, you just have to make one more page of your brand. Let's say XYZ looking for state distributors, XYZ looking for importers in China, XYZ looking for importers in Australia, XYZ looking for importers in USA. So whatever your focus is, you need to have a landing page clearly showing that message, and that needs to be public, right? Like if you know how the HTML works, you don't need to be making that on your website. It can just act as a URL, as a landing page in your marketing activities. So here is a page for Nuvino, let's say, distributors register your interest here. So as clear, this is the page which is talking to the distributor. So this is sort of your inbound page. Everywhere in your email signature also you should add like expanding in 2025, distributor interested for samples and pricing, check out further information here, right? So that link you should keep on adding in your all your social media messages, especially if you're handling sales. Here is a simple interest form on that page you should have, like send me more info and pricing, right? Fill out the form, things like that. And then you can ask your qualification questions as well there. But I would ask as little, and then maybe on the phone I would just understand and if that is a potential distributor before I send the samples. The page should have some basic information. If you can see here, like distributors, here's why you need to add Nuvino in your portfolio: national marketing program, strong retail track record, chain calls and market work, POS, point of sale and rack support, sample support. Now I'm reading this thing because the information that many of brands put out when they're sending a message to a distributor or a deck to a distributor or bringing them to a landing page, which I'm sure most of you may not even have, where it's an inbound distributor checking out your landing page. I've seen most of wineries and distilleries have a current distribution page where they will just list the distributors, but over there as well, check out like new distributors, click here, right? And then send them to this page where all this kind of information is there. And then like if I was a potential distributor and if I check this brand, like, wow, national marketing, PR, strong retail record, 100,000 like convenience store approvals and this and that, chain calls, these guys are going to even make point of sale, rack. What is going to happen? Like your target was 200 potential distributors on this page. I'm sure that 40 of them will convert and fill out that form, because this is a very, very educated supplier. They can see here, they're not talking so much about their philosophy and their brand and so much, this page is really designed for distributors and the information they need to sell out in retail. So that is something you need to optimize on as well. Let me show you some activities. Okay. Now the second part, like you made your page, everything is done. This is exactly, I'm sharing with you our internal plan for one of the Ukrainian brand called Contepil, who is looking for spirits importer in USA. And we're going to give them 40 interested spirits importers of USA, right? And here's our game plan. So please pay close attention. I'm literally sharing you our sort of blueprint here. Right. So in, let's say, February, we're going to make a blog post, social media post will say why this brand. Dedicated newsletter will go to US importers. They will come in our podcast sponsor in some way. So like that, the entire year has a plan. If you can see here why you should add this brand in your portfolio, a social media post. So on your, people are very shy on asking direct trade messages on your social media platforms. Like, you are all B2C, but once in a while, it's okay to say, hey, folks, we are expanding in Midwest, looking for interested distributors from Illinois, Ohio, check out how we can help partner, check out our, distributor proposal and so on. So you should have that, or if not on your main page, if you don't want to do, at least the salesperson or the owner or the CEO or the winemaker can absolutely sort of say it out, that, hey, why you should add my wine in your portfolio, for example. Again, that message should go back to the landing page. So all your social media activities, all your blogs, everything, you've written a blog post, you've written a PR, you can add just 2 lines inside there saying that we are also looking for distributors, check out the distribution offer, right? So again and again, keep sending some trade messages to that. Then here's an example of a simple email attachment that I did with potential distributors. Like if you can see here, our goal is to be a preferred choice of supplier. We believe, the cost is measured by value and not price. Our focus is to make sure the product moves from your customer and that they're happy with their buying decision. Here are the few things that we do as a part of our commitment, right? Like all trade languages. When I write this, these are my brands. Like when I write this kind of message, I think it's very hard for distributor to tell no to a supplier like this, who's really just going to make their life easy, who's going to generate business for them. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. I think I posted a few days ago one of the posts that the pains of a small distributor. The biggest thing that a small or a medium-sized distributor wants is, in fact, even more experienced supplier than them. That I'll repeat it again. So a small to medium-sized distributor, the biggest wish list they would have is a powerful brand or an experienced brand or an experienced supplier or a sales rep supplier than them, because it will help them actually build more business, right? So the moment you show that you know more about this game than them, I think that's a home run for them, because chances are they should be working with you. Here are some of the things, like you make it very easy for them to order. Like how many of you may even have an order sheet like this where they just have to punch in the numbers and send you back, right? So I'm just showing you some digital things that, because you also lose customers at this point, like you're asking for PO and boom, you have a ghost, right? They're gone. So make it very easy for them, everything very convenient for them at all levels. You got to sound like you're a perfect educated supplier, making it very easy for them. Here's my brand. Let's say this is the brand that I pretty much launched to open doors. And I used to play different tactics. So I'll explain you why I'm showing you this, okay? This brand in my portfolio was a $3.99 retail brand, like $4.99 max at some points. And my goal was to crack Whole Foods. And if I had Whole Foods, I easily could get national approval in Whole Foods if they said yes. And if I got Whole Foods, then which distributor is going to say no to me, right? So the idea was to really, have this story consistent. Like, hey, I'm pitching to Whole Foods. I'm pitching to Whole Foods. We're almost there. We're almost there. And we were there. Like we were there in some test stores. But I was showing that this is a $3.99, $4.99, and this will be your door opener in every account. So no distributor had something like $4.99 retail. Like it's just crazy. And at that time, like some crazy stuffs were going on. So I had innovated something called Sweet Malbec, right? Come out with something which is going to help them open doors. Obviously you may not be able to come out maybe just, a new product that, you can add. I understand that. But if you have a new, like something new, innovative thing that you can do, which can be a reason why they can even, pay attention to your portfolio. If you have a wider portfolio and you can show that you have that SKU as a door opener, use that as a landing page, So I use this as a landing page. That's where I'm going. And then maybe I sold my expensive wines. Doesn't matter, right? So they can buy like a pallet of this and a couple of pallets of my other wines. Again, this is my wines. I'm just showing you here. So that way you can just see an example of landing pages, right? These are all landing pages that I did for the distributors. Here are some examples. Here's one actual email of mine, which still would work. And if you see in the first paragraph, we would like the opportunity to present our brands for your consideration. Lucky 7 distribution offer, the deck view full distribution offer. So what this is in the email, I'm not throwing everything, right? As we all have seen, sometimes crazy attachments come. People say, hey, I'm going to send you samples. Where can I send you samples? I don't want all that crap. So right now, like I want to just see your value prop. Just send me a nice, crisp, clear, one email, one attachment. And there, if you see here, I've written, click here for full distribution offer. When they click there, they would come, on that page. And I would have a tracker to know that which distributor clicked. So I know that which distributor read my email, which distributor is interested in that, which filled the form, which did not fill the form. So I can chase out saying that, hey, I'm sure that you saw the email, would love to send you the sample. And those are the people you can say send you the samples because they've seen your detailed landing page. I also used to send, I'm just explaining you this because it's all part of the email marketing and digital marketing, like what to even send and share initially. So this is an important sheet that not many brands share, because maybe they think that it's confidential. I always encourage brands to share their current distributors' names. Like, okay, in my example, let's say, Michigan, this were my distributor, this is what brands they were selling. It's a solid credibility play. It's a solid reference play. It shows them that you are in what kind of houses. It's important for them to even see that, okay, this guy is like me, this guy is, this distribution is pretty much like how my business is. It's a great way to sort of for them also to see that you are a perfect brand because the distributors that are selling your brand are like them. Okay, so these are just some examples, of I'm more than happy to send you some exact sort of attachments and emails that worked and that still works for what to send to the distributors. Some of the other things that I will highlight here that you should include in your digital marketing in some ways, especially again, if you are handling sales, for you should focus more on this kind of language like pallet configuration, pickup location, marketing policy, samples policy, right? How much you will help them sell. So all this, you have to include it in your marketing. And from time to time, especially if you're handling sales, it is okay to sort of make a nice video saying that, hey, folks, looking for state distributors in East Coast. Our pickup location is in New Jersey, Western carriers. We want to make it very convenient, no minimum quantity. Even a mixed pallet works between our brands. Very few distributors would go out and say this kind of thing directly. I definitely think that when distributors out there are looking at your portfolio and they see your passion and they see, when they're doing their research, they see you on LinkedIn, let's say, and you have this sort of video, I think that will really help you in closing more people. And you will be surprised that even in that, when you post and you say, interested distributors would love to talk with you and show you how we can help you generate business. Check out the full distribution presentation at this link. Again, you're going to send them there, right? Even imagine that video that you can make, or your CEO or winemaker or whoever, like if you can get that video on your trade page where your distributors are listed, that you are looking for new partners as a video, and this is all the things that you would cover, that goes a long way. A couple of other distribution things that you can absolutely do to find more leads, which are more, maybe you may be doing, but maybe I'll just still share because it still works. So one of the things that you can do, which I used to do, which is, let's say my wine is Australian wine of $15. So I used to find another Australian wineries, and then I used to go to their distributors and importers pages. Then you would find similar sort of distributors and importers that you would want to approach to, right? So that is a great way to find more distributors and keep on adding in your prospect list. And then once you open that particular distributor or an importer's page, you find other suppliers that they are carrying. Then you again go back to that suppliers and open more distributors, right? So that way you continue your loop, and you'll be amazed that like if you literally sit for like 2 full days, you'll come out with like nice 100 very good clean data of distributors and importers, because this is exactly your space, right? Your kind of wines and spirits who distributes, and on their page as well, you'll see similar brands. Again, you will go back to the distribution pages, and you don't have to go like if there's nothing listed, you literally can Google it, like distributors of this brand in Illinois, let's say, and you find out who's the distributor, right? So you can find out distributors of your similar competitors or your similar brands. You can also search TTB list. So that is also, again, if you're an overseas brand, if you don't know, TTB is sort of a US body where the licenses and the alcohol bureau information of the new licenses are also listed. So you can literally find, state by state current licenses, and you can see new by the dates as well, right? So you will absolutely see a new license popped out, let's say in January. So that's your new distributor, and that's a gold mine, right? Like that's a completely new distributor who's going to look for new products. So you should absolutely pay full attention to that. Hopefully, I've tried to wrap it up fast here, guys, and we'll be happy to take questions here.
We did receive one question. So the question is basically more for you. So it's about What was your strategy to build it to 200K? Did you utilize any sales reps of your own, or you primarily relied on the distributors' reps? And also, if it was your own reps, then how did you design their payment structure? Was it like salary plus bonus, or was it like primarily just commission based?
Great question. That is very tough initially. Uh, like even at that level, it was very hard to sustain like two sales reps on the ground, right? So I'll tell you what I did and what most of the brands would be doing. First of all, it's yourself who will be knocking doors. So that's number one. Second is I made some close friends of distributors reps, and distributors were fine with that. Like let's say in New Jersey, if I'm selling, because a lot of retailers I was getting for the distributor, so that allowed me to have the leverage. So I made like some reps, told them that, hey, sell my wine more. That way I'll pay you $500 extra. And distributors were also happy with that. So it's not like I was going behind or under the table. I was just saying that, hey, if Irene sells, and actually that was her name, so Irene sells 500 cases of my wine a month, I would pay her a bonus of 1,000. Is that okay? Like that, and that way I know that route where my connections were there, it was hers, right? So that is one thing. Then I'll keep on going a few other things that I did. Then commission-based reps I tried, but then that's completely trial and error because usually their focus and in motivation will not come. But here's very underrated thing that many people use it as a cheap word called brokers. But so many important players I came across, which helped me a lot. So I'll name three or four types of people, who I paid 10%, but they were critical. One guy put me in Kroger's chain and I paid 10%. So, at some level, you need this brokers. The word is broker, but they have been in the industry for like 30, 40 years. They know the guys. They are the ones who ex-buyers of Trader Joe would now have a brokerage firm, right? Like that. Most of the big buyers would be in that business. So we're talking about ex-buyers who are now as consultants. Those are your guys. They can get you at the big chain levels and whatnot. Then some of the big retailers don't want to play dirty, or even the independents, who have the capacity to buy container deals, don't want to say that I want a deal or this and that, right? So they will have another person crack the deal for them. So that is another area where a person sets a meeting, does the deal making, and gets a 10% from me, for example, just to set up meetings. So there are many types of ways I navigate it. Then there are, let's say, a big Budweiser distributor I close, and then sub 20 mini Budweiser distributors around Texas would pick up the stuff, and I would give that main Budweiser guy 5%, to just help me. So there are many different ways you can structure this. The best way is sort of to make them money a little bit to the sales rep by handing them orders. It's the same thing as you would be handing distributors orders. So that was the best motivation. When they rode with me in market, they knew that they're going to make some good commissions because I was going to give them placements. So that was the main thing. And eventually, as you can afford at 3,000-4,000 a month minimum, you can just ask another supplier. Like let's say I did that as well. So there was one guy who was like me, very aggressive. So he paid 3K, I paid 3K, and we had our guy, for Delaware and New Jersey, for example. So that was like 6K in the market, Some examples there. Yep.